Hi, I'm Eric. And did you know that at one point in time, golf was banned in Scotland? I came back to find out why, and it has to do with these two. Good shot.
Imagine this, a game like golf banned for almost 50 years. Seems hard to believe, right? Well, that's exactly what happened in Scotland. So why would the birthplace of golf turn its back on the sport? Our journey starts east of Edinburgh at a golf course that hosts the Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers, the oldest and most exclusive membership in the world. We have a tee time at Muirfield.
Good shot. No glove, I like it.
Yeah, no glove. In the early days, grips were rubbish, you know. When I started playing golf, 1946 or something, and grips were rubbish. But today's grips are so wonderful. What the hell does a glove actually do, is my question. My name's Robin Dow. I'm a member of the Honourable Company. I was the captain 2013 to 2015. And, you know, I just think we have this wonderful legacy and I'm delighted to be part of it.
Robin has invited us to play foursomes, or as it's known in the States, alternate shot. Foursomes is the only format allowed in the mornings at Muirfield, an ancient tradition befitting an ancient club.
I think you've got this for sandy par.
In this format, you and a partner take turns, one shot at a time. Think of it like golf leapfrog.
Early days of golf, the people who made golf clubs were effectively the people who made bows. Because they had the woodworking skills, the knowledge of the right types of woods to use. So the bowyers, who were very skillful, they became club makers in many cases.
Robin's knowledge of golf stretches all the way back to its birth.
It was played just on land as the land was. So if you look around here, you just see what nature created. And that's the essence of a great golf course, I believe. And of course, links, the very definition of links is this strip of ground close to the sea, between the sea and the kind of agricultural hinterland, and it's sandy and it's just, you know, all kinds of shapes and different forms, and you know, you can see, just look around, it's beautiful.
My first few minutes in Scotland were in St. Andrews, and I remember finding out about this idea that golf was at one point banned.
Yeah, it was.
And it was illegal. And that just kind of, I've never really gotten to the bottom of it.
Okay, here's the story. In 1457, they decided to ban two sports. And the two sports were football and golf. And the purpose of that was to encourage males from the age of 12 and onwards to practice archery and not to spend their time with football and golf. But it's astonishing to think that in 1457 there were people playing something called golf. But it also tells you that there must have been enough people playing golf at that time that golf pre-existed 1457 by quite a long time, and indeed it did.
What was the penalty for playing golf while it was banned?
Well, it was technically quite severe. You would either be locked up, I mean literally locked up, put in jail, or you would be fined. It was there to sound extremely severe so that people would practice archery. Now, they might play golf secretly on the side, but at least they'd have reported for archery practice, let's put it like that.
Yeah.
The ban, in fairness, only lasted 50 years. It was renewed twice, but after 50 years, then there was a king of Scotland who was interested and keen on golf. And so the ban was lifted, and the only restriction was that the church was absolutely insistent that you couldn't play golf on a Sunday. So there was a significant release in the fact that you were no longer fined or locked up for playing golf. You could at least play it, but don't play it on a Sunday.
The whole archery golf parallel,
yes,
does seem very similar in this idea of...
Yeah, I think so, and a target, you know. And it's interesting that our predecessors, the original founder members of the Honourable Company, if you like, many of them were archers.
So, Edinburgh's first golfers were archers, and as they began to compete, they needed something to play for.
And this is a replica?
No,
This
that's
is
the
the
real thing. That's it.
This was created
in 1744 by a silversmith in Edinburgh at the request of Edinburgh Council to give to the Honourable Company to play for the first organised golf competition on Leith Links. And the very first winner of the Silver Club, John Rattray, in 1744, also was the recipient of the Edinburgh Arrow because he won both competitions.
All right, so this is it. This is what I believe is the home of golf.
300 years ago, the first recorded golf competition in history was held on Leith Links' 5 holes.
The hot take here is that Leith Links in the center of Edinburgh is the real home of golf, and it looks like we found it. So here we have John Rattray. I'm assuming that's John Rattray there playing some golf. He signed the original 13 rules of golf drawn up in 1744. Leith is the birthplace of competitive golf, home of the gentlemen golfers who wrote in the original rules and witnessed to John Rattray's inaugural Silver Club victory. The Silver Club remains the oldest golf trophy in the world, still played for today. Let's go check out the statue here. This is crazy. John Rattray in his coattails, looking kind of more like a soldier than a golfer, eyeing down the hole. Sometime in the mid-1700s, there was 5 holes here. What's funny is that back then, those holes must have been so exciting. But when you look back on it, they must have been like super basic. I doubt there were any bunkers, right? I mean, no one knows. That's the craziest thing, is this whole Leith Links is kind of, there's no drawings, there's no routing, there was no course architect. You know, it really was just kind of the beginnings of it all, the beginnings of organized golf. 13 rules.
13 rules.
Was that kind
One piece of paper.
Yeah, was that kind of divine, the creation of that, or what do you know about that?
It was a requirement of the Edinburgh Council, who were donating the Silver Club, that there should be a set of rules. And by some miracle, that piece of paper has survived. In this wonderful piece of paper is the original rules of golf.
And this is 1744.
1744. It was written shortly before the first competition was played for on the 2nd of April, 1744.
At holing, you are to play your ball honestly for the hole and not to play upon your adversary's ball, not lying on your way to the hole. That's stymies.
Yes.
So it's saying you can't intentionally stymie your partner.
That's correct.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I've never seen this.
No, it's beautiful.
This is unbelievable.
It is.
You are not to change the ball which you strike off the tee. So throughout the hole, you have to play the same ball.
Yes. The spirit of how you play and compete is embedded in there. I just love that.
Signed by John Rattray,
that's him.
the winner of the inaugural competition for the Silver Club, and thus the first captain.
Yes.
Do we have a painting of John Rattray in the clubhouse?
That's another whole story. Do you want that story?
Of course we do.
Okay. Although he was an eminent surgeon, although he won the Silver Club and he won the Silver Arrow, we currently have no image of him.
So we're driving to meet a stranger. Somehow we got connected to the sculptor who did the John Rattray statue. Kind of interesting because no one knows what John Rattray looks like. Here we are. Time to meet a new friend.
You're a lovely girl, aren't you? That's Dolly. Because she looks like a partridge, my daughter named her Dolly Parton. Do you take anything in it?
A little cream if you have it.
And take you down to see old Tom.
Let's see old Tom.
David Annan has developed a specialty for golf sculpture. His current project is a larger-than-life bronze statue of the game's grandfather, Old Tom Morris.
So he's going to go back in the bin, and he'll hopefully become either Donald Ross or John Sutherland from Royal Dornoch.
Really?
Yeah, because the clay is recyclable. They took silicone molds and plaster molds and took them back to Edinburgh, and they'll cast them into bronze in Edinburgh.
Yeah, so this is why we're here, this John Rattray statue. And I actually am curious, this is uncommon. We don't see this very much. This is a real stance. Or is this before he would...
No, he just stepped into it and whacked it. As far as I know.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a bit like hockey.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know if that's true or not.
But unlike Old Tom, David doesn't have any reference of Rattray to guide him. He's creating something from nothing.
It's quite useful when it's like that, because I can just do what I like.
You can just sort of depict him as you want.
He's got to look like him.
It's very strange to be in the presence of an object that looks like a person, but it's not. You know?
Yeah.
Do you have to deal with that, where you're like, you think there's a person in the room?
No, it's mud.
It's mud.
It's refined mud. No, it does, sometimes it does come to life, but they don't speak.
It's uncanny watching a sculptor destroy his mold. After days, sometimes weeks or months, of carefully shaping and refining, the mold is broken. But not in vain. It's a necessary step in the process, a reminder that nothing in art or in life is truly permanent. For the sculptor, breaking the mold is a form of letting go.
Van Gogh.
Van Gogh.
The clay, once shaped, now returns to its raw state, ready to be recycled, reimagined, and reborn. Just like golf itself in Scotland. Constantly reimagined, constantly reborn. A game rooted in tradition, yet always changing.
We probably take it for granted, you know, because it's just always been here. That sort of history and tradition and things. You know, it's just part of the culture, like it or not.
To really get to the bottom of this connection between archery and golf, I've got to experience it myself. This leads me all the way to Dornoch to meet with local hunter and outdoorsman Kurt Connell.
So we have a selection of bows today. This one will be dressed up a little bit more, but this is actually kind of almost Olympic style setup competition bow.
I didn't realize bow and arrow is an Olympic competition.
Yeah,
Probably one of the first, actually.
be one of the oldest, that's for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of it, like golf, is mind games. As many activities is what's going on up here. So more often than not, if you're approaching the line you're ready to shoot, or if you're standing up to go and tee off, the moment you start thinking about what you're doing, it's going to go downhill. And that's typically what I find. If I think too much about the activity, that's when it does, room for error starts to creep in. So you're best to try and make it stress-free as you can. I like to use the word a bit zen just now, you know, like nice and relaxed. And just find your zen a little bit and just send off a few shots without thinking as much as you can. Think like starting off your golf swing initially. Point your toes towards me. Keep your hips and knees straight everywhere in the direction you want to point to. That's it. Load over the top when you're ready. A little bit of weight on the forward leg. There, perfect. Good, 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 good. Straighten up to the cheek. Point the tip in the middle. Fire. Lovely. In the 9. Okay.
9 points?
9 points.
Let's go.
A lot of it for me is the sound.
Yeah.
I just love a whack noise when you get it.
Yeah.
You know when you've got a good shot and a bad shot. If you hear it sound like almost like a bad guitar, you know, pling, plong.
Yeah.
Very nice. There we go. Perfect. Now that's a 10. Good shot.
10.
Yeah. Let's give it a little twist and pull, and you can just place them on the ground and bundle them up together. Just try not to stand on any.
It's amazing how much ritual is involved.
Well, it's just etiquette, as you know. It's same for any other
Etiquette.
club and shooting activity. Same as you go into the golf course. You know, there'll be certain procedures you're
Yeah.
not wanting to break.
This is wild. There are a ton of similarities. You know, we're essentially making a film about these kind of early golf key moments. When did golf arrive? When did golf become banned? When did golf become organized? Like sort of the pre-written record of golf. And so I'm wondering, as far as archery, who would you recommend that we speak to that really is obsessed with the history of the archer, as it were?
Well, Phil actually will surprise you, I think, a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, speak with Phil. He'll be able to definitely cover you on the subject of longbows.
So, where are we?
We're
in Dornoch.
In Dornoch,
Yeah.
at the famous Royal Dornoch Golf Club.
A top 10 golf course in the world, to be specific, in costume. Meet Phil Fennick, a military historian and medieval archer. Alongside his wife Anne, they're keeping the traditions of archery very much alive, giving us a unique glimpse into the past.
I worked at a golf course, so that put me off golf.
Why?
Oh, having to make it perfect, always making it perfect, the course perfect, and you're not going to play because you make a mess of all your work. Divots and raking bunkers and pitch marks.
But isn't archery much the same?
Archery is now referred to as a sport, but initially it was a type of warfare. It was hunting. It was a way of keeping alive, really, and
it was
so-
a legal requirement to practice.
in
Everybody had to practice
Every
on
Sun-
Sunday morning.
Phil is skeptical of the link between golf and archery.
You must see some parallels between the two, or do you not?
I could see the parallel with the long shots.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your drive.
Nice shot.
Thank you.
Archery, or its terminology, is more present today than we think.
Like out of the blue. It comes from all the arrows raining down on you out of the blue, because you can't see them until they're coming out, because they have such a high parabola to get 200 yards.
So out of the blue
distance.
is essentially a negative term.
Yes, that came out of the blue. The arrows come out of the blue. Rule of thumb, have you heard of that one? The rule
Sure.
of thumb, it means it's whether your bow is tight enough. The rule of thumb.
Ah. Do you know the saying, live by the sword, die by the sword?
Indeed.
Does that exist for archers?
Well, the archers were frowned upon by the men-at-arms.
Huh.
They were the lowest of the low. They were
Really? The pawns?
The pawns, yes.
Did they have knives? I mean,
Yes.
you have some weapons.
Yes, the archer would aim, go and dispatch.
That was for the second phase.
Yes, for dispatching wounded.
But
Yeah.
nowadays it's useful for getting the arrows out of modern targets.
Do you think golf should be illegal?
No. It keeps a lot of people employed. It's at the heart of the tourism industry in Scotland.
Love it or not, golf holds a significant place in Scotland's history. You'd think it's woven into the fabric of life here, and that it's important to everyone. But that's not always the case. Looking at Phil's equipment, I remembered that golf clubs and bows were once made by the same craftsmen. The same hands that tied bowstrings laced leather around the first grips. Rural Dornoch is indeed holy ground, but archers roamed this land long before they became golfers.
Well, here we are on the 18th at Royal Dornoch. There's obviously the history, it's obviously remote, it's a special trip, but there's something about the way it's routed when you kind of make your way out and then turn around and you have that 7th tee box with the incredible view. It's almost a weird peacefulness to it. You know, you can really hear the ball flight every time. And, you know, I think the interesting thing about talking to people who don't play golf about golf, it really helps you look at the game with an outsider's perspective. I think hearing them talk about archery and seeing all the parallels to golf was really funny, you know, because it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's actually a lot of things that have the same components to them. They just look different.
And we saved our best stop for last on the way to uncovering the genesis of golf, St. Andrews. There's a shop here, a pitching wedge away from the 18th green, called Ochterlony's. It's here that I met the owner, Bobby Miller. Bobby takes me to the back of the shop through an alleyway. This is where William Ochterlony used to regrip clubs in the late 1800s. The same vice is still here.
Look at this. Past champions, Bobby Jones, 1927. Nothing existing. Are there any other sports where you go to a place that collectively own the history of the game? You know, are there any other sports where you go to a place?
Not that you can think of.
Scotland, more specifically St. Andrews, right? It's like, yes, of course. We will all go there if we can. This is the best grip.
Yeah, multi-compound's good, so it gives you a bit of cord in the left hand.
Do you play this grip?
Funnily enough, that exact colour.
Really?
Yeah, because there we go.
Why?
'Cause
Masters? Augusta?
Celtic.
Oh, it's always a football fight.
I think the big difference in golf is the ball. You know, when you think about the feather golf ball that they were using, you know, it wasn't even round. So
yeah,
I mean, you know, there's no guarantee that the putt you were going to hit was going to go straight. You know.
Oh, that would have driven me crazy.
That's right.
They must have been more angry. Do you think?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, they looked a little angry, if I'm being honest.
They did. Yeah. I mean, some of the golfers. You wouldn't want to meet them on a dark night in an alleyway in St Andrews. So oh, sorry, get you wet there.
No, you're good.
There you go.
This is great. I love that this grip made something to you. That's cool.
Well, that's right. Yeah. There we go.
It means something to me. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's hard to trace back to the first golf club, but Bobby has heard stories.
I'm just sort of trying to wrap my head around this period of time in the 1400s. You know, when it's like, what is the golf?
Well, I mean, there's lots of rumours, and I know there used to be merchants come from Holland, and they would play up at the Bruce Embankment by the harbour, and they reckon that was when a ball was first struck with a club, and I think they called it golf. But it was a very different, more like a hockey stick, and the ball was kind of wooden, but it was oval.
Sorry, so you're saying a Dutchman landed in Scotland and somehow smuggled or brought with him some golf equipment?
Yeah, but well, it was called golf, so it was a very different game, and I think they just struck the ball, and then of course they brought it over here. for something to do. And I think they were cotton traders. They were.
Something you said made me laugh because you said they brought it over here for something to do.
That's right. That's right.
I've been to St. Andrews a dozen times, but I've never been here, never been to this beach, which is just a stone's throw from the town's cathedral and old Tom Morris's grave. I've never had a reason to come out here. There's no plaque, there's no statue, there's no list of rules set in stone. There's no hint of golf on this beach. Could this be the place where golf was first actually played on grass in Scotland, shaping the future of what would become the modern game of golf?
I didn't quite realize how much of golf's history isn't known, right? And I think what's funny is we came here to pull on this thread of like, oh, golf was banned. And there's like one document that talks about this ban on golf. And there's not ever any other mention of golf. Like there's really no other way to even understand what golf was at that time. And so you kind of like pick up this one thing and you realize, wait a minute, we don't know anything else. It's unwritten as far as we know now. And unless somebody finds a boat that sank that somehow has, perfectly preserved these articles of golf, if you will, it's all a mystery. And I guess the closest you can get is coming to Scotland, and specifically on this, 4 acres of land that has no golf on it.